Hello everyone, welcome to Gosport Railworks. My name's James and today we're doing another locomotive review. This time we're looking at the Peco Collect Goods, otherwise known as the GWR 2251 class. And yeah, it's a rather nice looking 060 tender locomotive. But first of all, let's get all the boring stuff out of the way. Box is rather plain, not as big as what you normally get from Dapol or Farris. But yeah, it does the job anyway. The product code is NL27060 Collect Goods in BR Black with late crest. And on the back it does actually have a bit more of information about the class itself, which is a very nice touch. It has a very nice picture as well. But it basically says BR Western Region Collect Goods 2251 class 060 locomotive. And I'm just going to hold that there so you can pause the video if you want to have a read. There we go. First time I'm having to do that, so yes. But I will be telling you a bit more about the locomotive later on in the video anyway. I'm just going to turn that on as well. You do get a detail pack on the inside. It's mainly spare bits and bobs of detail and also alternative drawbar in case you want a more realistic handling of the tender. Let's quick look at how heavy it weighs before we look at on the last bit of the bits on the inside. And it's 63 grams exactly, so that's always nice to know. I'll just turn it off. And the last thing you get on the inside of the package is this long, very informative product information sheet, which tells you first of all the other versions of the model itself, how to remove the loco body and also I'm guessing the tender body as well, yes, and also where to fit all the detail parts and also how to replace the drawbar. And on the other side it does tell you about running in, maintenance, lubrication, suppression, repairs and recycling, and also running your model on DCC, because this is in fact a DCC fitted locomotive, even though you can actually run it on DCC or DC, because it can run on both. You just need to pop it on layout and it will work whichever way you feel like. And yeah, that's pretty much it really for that. And yes, like I said, DCC fitted. You don't have to open it up to fit anything inside because it's already there. It's also tender driven. It's a nice version of tender driven because there's no things wobbling around through, from the tender to the actual loco itself. It does mean that these are, I say these are free rolling, but this is a second hand 2251 because basically I saw a slightly cheaper one. I thought, yeah, that'll be fine. But yeah, the drive wheels lock up a bit on mine. But for the most part they are fine. I have had to slight work around with that. And the running number for this one in particular is 3208. And yeah, that's the main bits about it. Other than it doesn't have any NEM pockets, which is a downside. But otherwise it's a very nice model indeed. Detail on the bottom is not, in fact there's no detail on the bottom really. Now, if it's not viewed from the sides or the top, there's nothing really interesting on the bottom to look at other than saying it was made in England and it's made by Peco, and possibly in 2005. Yes, so that's when it was made. But yes, it's a nice closer look up of it. I will be getting this on my turntable if you want to have a better look. But it does have a very nice riveting, and the tempo printing, where there is some, does look very spotless. Doesn't seem to be any blemishes with it. There's a slight line underneath the boiler, but that's very difficult to see in end gauge anyway, so you won't be seeing that unless you really look up close and underneath. So that's not really much of a problem. So the riveting is absolutely, it's everywhere. And the brass work, which will be on the top of the chimney, on the safety valve and on the whistles and also on the window, that looks nicely done. It's not too shiny. Well, it's not the absolutely polished brass, but it does look fairly nice anyway. You do have the running number on the front of the boiler, and again riveting on the buffer beam, and the same on the rear as well. So yes, very nice. You do get a representation of the reverser there. I think that's a reverser rod. It looks like it anyway. You do have a nice gap underneath the boiler, which is always nice to see. And you do have a little bit of, just being a bit careful, you do have a bit of detail in the cab. Nothing painted, but it is represented there anyway. But again, you won't be seeing it all that well when it's going around the layout. And a view from the other side. Looks very nice. Coal, well, it's plasticky, but I'm guessing it's hollow underneath because you need to fit the decoder, the motor, and all the other bits in there. As far as I can tell, it is all-wheel pickup. I know there's pickups on here. I don't know if there's pickups on the drive wheels. I just don't know if there's pickups on the powered wheels. I'm assuming there will be, because it does run fairly well. But yes, I'm quite happy with that. There is no glazing, unfortunately, but I don't actually know if there's meant to be glazing, so that might be pretty typical. But yes, it looks rather nice. Anyway, let's get this onto the layout. Well, first of all, let's get on the turntable, then let's get onto the layout. So yes, turntable first, tell you a bit more about the class, then we get to see it running around the layout. So I'll see you in a bit. The Great Western Railway 2251 class was a class of 060 steam tender locomotive designed for medium-powered freight. They were introduced in 1930 as a replacement for the earlier Dean Goods 060s and built up to 1948. In many ways, the 2251s were modernised Dean Goods, sharing the main dimensions but having more modern features such as tapered boilers and full cabs. Increases in both boiler pressure and a heating surface gave a useful increase in power at the expense of weight that restricted permitted routes. 20 engines that were a little different from the rest of the class were numbers 2211 to 2230, built in 1940, which did not have the side windows fitted due to safety fears in wartime. In addition, numbers 2281 to 2286 were built with tenders from the Belvedere class, as were another 10 engines that were coupled to these tenders from time to time. Designed by Charles Collett for medium freight and passenger duties, they had 5'2" driving wheels carrying a maximum of 3,000 gallons of water to fuel a boiler running at 200 psi. They could be found operating on most parts of the former GWR system. These were the first GWR 060s to use the standard number 10 boiler, as later fitted to the 94XX, 15XX and various rebuilds of absorbed, mainly Welsh locomotives. The first locomotive of the class withdrawn was number 2258 in December 1958, while the last class in service was number 2210, withdrawn in June 1955. Only one example of the 2251 class has been preserved, namely number 3205. Right, here we are with the 2251 now on the layout. I have got my test rake set up, but we'll get back to that in a moment while we have a quick look at how well it runs with slow speed. This is under DCC because that's what I had set up, and the 2251 does not actually care, which I have. So yes, here it is with a light bit on the controller. That seems rather nice. I do have to mention that it does actually have a traction tyre on the front left wheel. It's only the one, but it does give it a bit more power, but yeah, it's quite nice. Anyway, let's give it a bit of power to get round. It is a noisy runner, so do take that into consideration. So it does come out, there it is. One of my takes, it didn't actually come back out. I think it fell off. But that's nothing to do with the actual loco itself here. I think it's just one of them random things. Give it a nice run around, a bit faster this time. Yep, there it is. It seems to be seems to run fairly well on its own. Anyway, let's get it moved to the other track. Just to show you, there's the traction tyre on this wheel here, and just have to be a bit careful because I'm doing this with one hand. There we go. Right, just going to nudge you forward. Right, here is my test rake of 8 Mark 1 coaches. 8 Mark 1 coaches is about 25 grams, so this is about 200 grams worth of coaches. So yes, let's see how well this couples up together. So next one's in reverse. There we go. Unfortunately, these are older couplers, so they're a bit stiff. But on the flat, it does not seem to have any issues pulling 8 Mark 1 coaches. Considering it's only 63 grams, this is, I want to say it's about 2 and a bit times its own weight. But as you can see, it does seem to be struggling a bit, pulling it up this slight incline. So, and there it is on the other side. Yeah, even with that traction tyre, it does not seem all that happy pulling 8 coaches, which is a bit of a shame. Let's see if it do a bit better at well, I wouldn't say full speed, but a more decent speed. It still seems to be slipping. Yeah, slipping. I'm going to bring it to a stop in a moment. We'll have to deal with my hand in the way. Right. So yes, that traction tyre does not seem to be giving it all that much extra power. I would say, unfortunately, 8 coaches up a very gentle incline is a bit much. I would say probably it might do a bit better if it's 5 or 6. That seems a bit more reasonable. So yes, it's unfortunate, but unfortunately you can't have everything. Because yeah, I said it's DCC fitted already. It's very nicely detailed. It's not quite current standards, but it's very close. But and also it's a very nice prototype. It's generally a good runner, but pulling power it's a bit low. So yes, and it's not hasn't got NEM coupling. So if you want any alternative couplings, you don't have many other options other than just using the standard N gauge ones. So yes, but yes, also now onto the main thing of how much do one of these cost. Just had to point out mine is actually second hand, so I think I got about 80 to 90. I don't exactly remember, but 80 to 90 is probably a fairly good price considering there's only one slight issue with it. It may be a bit cheaper. Don't remember, but yes, you might be able to get this for probably, if it was brand new and perfectly fine, probably 100 to 110 might be in rough, guesswork how much they cost. I know the Peco Jubilee does go up to 140 sometimes, but you can get them sometimes cheaper, so it all depends on what you find, because unfortunately they stopped making these in 2010, so it's a bit difficult to actually work out a good price for them anymore. So yes, it is a nice runner, bit low on the haulage, and if you can find one, and if you like it, do feel free to get one. So yes, I hope this video has shown the upsides and downsides of this loco, but yeah, I'm fairly happy with it, and I won't be making it pull 8 coaches all the time. So yes. Anyway, I'm going to send her off and away for one last go at going round with 8 coaches. So this has been James from Gosport Railworks, and I hope you enjoy your day. If you do like the video, feel free to subscribe, like and comment. And if you don't like the video, well, I hope you enjoy your day anyway. So yes, I'll see you again next time, and take care now. Bye bye.